Well, good morning, Heights family and friends. Hope you are doing well. We are back today with another installment of question and answers following the Breaking Culture series. But we don't have Gary or Brian here today.
Sorry.
We have the one and only, my neighbor, my friend, the most organized person I know ever in this entire planet, the most beloved staff member here at the Heights.
Not true.
The great Chris Havard.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today.
You said that almost exactly the way we practiced it.
I'm so glad. I really am glad that you're here today. Brian obviously is not with us. Brian mentioned on Sunday that his father is turning 70 years old, or turned 70 years old, and so he is celebrating with his dad, exactly where he should be. So,
Yes, totally.
But we still wanted to have an opportunity to come to you today and talk about a few things from the message on Sunday. And so I invited you to sit in with Brian before Brian, and thank you for doing that.
Sure, absolutely.
So on Sunday, Brian's message was being content in a culture of envy, and I. In fact, he really said this. He said, really, it's the difference of being thankful for and being, rather than saying, I want more, as far as envy is concerned. But Brian closed. Oh, by the way, before I get into this, you may hear some commotion in the back, or you may hear the backdrop looks a little bit different. We've got some work happening on our stage, and so it's not going to really bother us. You may hear a few things. Just don't worry about that. This work is necessary, and so anyway, just ignore that.
Richard's a professional. There's nothing to worry about.
Chris is the professional, my friends. So at any rate, at the end of Brian's message, he closed with this illustration. He drew two circles on his TV, and it's this difference of me-centered versus Christ-centered. And we've learned this over the last several months, and I feel like you have a really good handle on this, and I wanted you to kind of come and just represent what Brian taught on Sunday, because if you didn't hear it, man, I think it can be transformational to our lives. And so why don't you just take it away and kind of unpack a little bit about what this illustration is.
Great. Brian mentioned this at the end of the sermon, and this is something that we were in a meeting with a guy, I don't know, a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and he was doing this on the board, and it was one of those kind of moments. And I do think it is immensely powerful, and it doesn't seem to be that different, these two circles, but it is immensely, it could change the trajectory of our church. It's that valuable.
When you get it, right? When you get it.
And when you said, I understand it, I thought, well, that's like I understand a concept. That doesn't mean I always do it.
Right.
So Brian mentioned this on Sunday. This is kind of a circle that you can see. This is my life here. And so, I have my job, maybe family, maybe I'm married, I got a spouse or kids, maybe not. Maybe I have close friends, my friend group, hobbies. These are kind of just the things in my life. And it's my life, so therefore, I'm in the middle of that thing. And so then we say things sometimes in church like this. Hey, why don't you invite Jesus into your heart, which not necessarily in the Bible. Or we say, why don't you invite Jesus into your life? And we say that phrase. You'll hear that phrase in church. You may have heard us say it. Invite Jesus into your life. So we're saying Jesus wasn't a part of my life, and so he's going to come in and be a part of my life. Now, it's still my life, and this is still all my stuff, but Jesus is a part of that. And a lot of times people think, okay, so the point of church is just to get it so that Jesus is a real big part of my life. So he goes from just being a kind of a piece of my life to, no, he's going to be the real big piece of my life. The problem with that is it's theologically wrong. Other than that, there's no problems with it, except it's theologically wrong. You say, why is that? Because of the other diagram that the other circle that Brian put up, this is more the gospel. And the gospel is this. I have all the same stuff in my life, but I'm not on the throne of this thing. Jesus is. My identity is not that it's my life. My life is here for the Lord. And so I put up here Galatians 2:20. This is that famous verse where Paul says, I have been crucified with Christ. I no longer live. So Paul thought of himself as, it's not only that it's not my life, I don't even have a life anymore. My whole life is now hidden with Christ. He says, I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. And so this is this idea. And so I put that verse there just to symbolize this is this gospel life. And that Jesus is the center. My whole life, everything in my life revolves around Jesus.
All right, so I see job here, job there, family here, family there, hobbies, friends. They're both in the circle, but what makes this job different than this job, or this family different from this family?
Great question. So take your job. This deal, it's my job. I go to it so that I can make money and provide for my family. And there you go. And that's not the worst thing in the world. This worldview says, no, God has given me this job. He has determined the places where I should live. This is a place where I can expand the kingdom. And so, they pay me some money too, but relationships at this job are super important because I can leverage those for the gospel, the expansion of the kingdom. Family. Here we're busy family. We do lots of stuff. We probably never sit down when an opportunity comes our way for our kids to be involved with something, for us to be involved. We probably never ever sit down and say, hey, before we say yes to that, why don't we pray about that to see if this is something that God can use and we can be on mission with Jesus. If I'm over here, things come my way and we say, hey, as a family, we are about following Jesus. We're about the kingdom. And so let's pray about this to see if this is going to fit or not. Because if it doesn't, if it's going to keep us from being about that, then maybe we're going to have to say no to that. Hobbies. Again, maybe you like to play golf, and so you go out and you play golf and maybe you get matched up with somebody. Well, if I'm the center of the universe here and center of my life, when I go to play golf with some guys that get matched up, all I'm thinking about is I hope they don't slow me down. That's all I'm thinking about. On the other hand, I get paired up with some guys on the golf course. Now I'm thinking, how can I start a conversation with these guys? I'm going to take this conversation, I'm going to listen to the Spirit and take this as far as the Lord's going to let me to go to see if this might be an opportunity to expand the kingdom. So you can see how these same exact things have very different manifestations if I'm thinking this way about myself. If I'm getting up in the morning and saying, I'm here for the Lord and the expansion of the kingdom, then that's the difference.
Yeah. So as you've explained that, well, thank you, by the way, this is fantastic. But as you've explained that, you've used the word kingdom multiple times.
Yes.
And so when I see these circles, when I know about a kingdom, is that in the center of the kingdom is the king, right? And so when I look at these, I think of, in this scenario, you're the king of your own life.
Yeah.
And in this scenario, Jesus is the king.
Yes.
And in his kingdom, when he's really the king, all authority is his and everything falls under his rule.
100%. And here's the thing. When you say that, this is very hard for Americans because we don't have a king. In fact, our country was founded on, we don't want a king. We don't want people, I have rights, don't tell me what to do. So as an American, kingdom language is tough for us. And the irony is it's the language that Jesus used. It's the language the Bible uses to explain this. So it is very tough. And again, you hit it, one of the problems is it's about kind of lordship. Now, this sounds, especially to an American, like you're saying, okay, you got to have a king over here who's going to tell you what to do, and you're going to live under submission. We have a very bad connotation of living in a kingdom that it's, oh man, I'm not. There's not going to be no joy here. Now, here's the irony.
Because history books are filled with bad kings.
Despots, right?
Yeah. People that ruled with an iron fist and that did not treat people with fairness and equity. But that's not what we're talking about here.
Right. That's why he's the unique king in all the creation. He's a benevolent king. But it's still, this is hard for us to fathom. And here's the thing. Here's the irony. We think that if we can run our lives, we'll find joy. How's that going? That doesn't usually work. You find people that are super frustrated all the time. And here's one of the funniest things. People who are Christians, who have Jesus as a part of their life, this is actually more frustrating because it's this constant battle of my life versus submitting to Jesus. This actually is frustrating. And you may have felt that frustration in your own walk. The beauty of this thing is it sounds like, oh, I have to submit. I don't get to do what I want to do. This is where John 10:10, you know this?
Absolutely.
Your favorite verse? Tell us John 10:10.
Yeah, for the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come, Jesus has come, that you may have life and have it to the full.
This is honestly where the abundant life is. Now, we don't think that because we think, oh, they're limiting my rights. This is where abundant life is. If you can ever live in here for a while. For instance, one of the times when I wish I lived this way every day. For me, one of the times when I ever actually live this out is on mission trips. You wake up in the morning and you have no other goal but to expand the kingdom that day. Right. Everything is built around that. If you ask me one of some of the greatest weeks of your life that you felt the Lord the most in your life, that you were used by God, it's mission trips. Why is that? Because I'm living this. I'm not there thinking this is my vacation. It's not about me. So that's why I think this is where John 10:10 abundant life is found. Even though it sounds to an American like, oh man, I'm not going to get to do what I want to do. This is the exciting John 10:10 abundant life.
But under his rule, the king's rule, this is attainable not just on mission trips, but this is attainable our whole life.
It's simply a decision we have to make when we get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Will I choose to have Jesus be the center of my life and have my whole life revolve around him today or not? Just imagine, we probably should close it out on this because we've been going for a while, but I just think, what would it be like if our entire church for, I don't know, a month, if everybody in our church got up every morning and said, I choose today to live like this. The whole day is going to be this instead of this. If everybody in our church did that for a month, it would be incredible.
Great pictures of the kingdom.
Oh my gosh, it would be amazing. And so that's why this thing is so powerful. If the more people can understand this and choose to live in this, massive impact on our church.
And this is attractional. I mean, people,
100%.
People flock to this, right?
Because you're thinking of others on this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. This is unbelievable. And listen, I want to challenge you and encourage you, man. If this has been inspiring for you today, and you may know some people who need to hear this message, who hear what Chris just explained to us. I would encourage you to take this and share it, send it to them, whatever you need to do to have them watch this, because I think this can be transformational in lives for sure. So, again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for popping on today, and hope you have a fantastic rest of the day.